Are you recording?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Um, Welcome back, everyone. Just wanted to say thank you for being here at Great Tree this morning. So the Paige Gilchrist will be speaking with us and working with us on embodied practices. And these are movement exercises for tuning into the season and supporting your practice. And one quick announcement before we start. This is our last day of summer practice. So Zazen will follow this morning's program, and we'll have two periods of Zazen following lunch break. So I'll put the schedule up in chat. And I would invite Teijo if you would like to chant the opening of the sutra.
And unsurpassed, penetrating, and perfect Dharma, rarely met with even 100,000 million kalpas, having yet to see and remember and accept my vow to taste the fruit of the Bhagavata's teaching.
And next we'll have a brief statement on Dana from Kenjo.
Thank you. In Buddhism, when practitioners share their understanding of the teachings and practice, it is offered freely as a practice of dana paramita. Dana is a Pali word that means generosity or to give freely, and this practice is done without expectation of getting something in return. This is the spirit of speaking about the Dharma. Other ways to practice dana are to offer support to those who share the teachings, to support places of spiritual practice, and to give without judgment or expectation when opportunities arise. Those who share the teachings at Great Tree do so on a dana basis. Please support their practice by giving what you can. And Paige has asked that all dana be sent directly to Great Tree. Thank you, Paige. I will put the links into the chat. You're muted, Yuge.
Thank you. I was saying most of you know Paige, but for those of you who may not, she is a longtime practitioner of Zen meditation and yoga, now gracing the Asheville Yoga scene with her dynamic teaching style. Her gentle flow classes have a way of meeting you where you are. She creates an environment that fosters deep awareness, where you feel comfortable challenging yourself at your own pace and level. Paige completed her foundational yoga teacher training and earned advanced certification in therapeutic yoga with a wonderful collective of teachers led by Stephanie Keach at Asheville Yoga Center. She has been a longtime student of Teijo here at Great Tree and is also currently studying the full spectrum of Hindu Dharma with Kaya Mindlin. So good morning, Paige, and welcome.
Thank you. Is it Yuge? Yuge. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Gendo, and thank you, Teijo, always for inviting me to be a part of this. What an honor to get to come home to Great Tree every season. And Lisa, it's great to see you again. And Kalyan, I'm not sure that we've met, but I'm glad you're here this morning. Let's see. Yuge said that I would be talking and demoing. That's a kind of ambitious description. Basically, we're all going to be practicing a little bit of yoga together, a little bit of movement. The formula that Teijo and I cooked up for this, by the way, can everyone hear me okay? The sound is okay. All right. I'll turn that music up just a little bit for atmosphere as we get going. But the formula that Teijo and I cooked up is to come up with some embodied practices that will both support you in your sitting practice and in your sitting life. Most of us have pretty sitting lives, but that also would bring us in touch with and attune to the seasons around us. Kind of, we are natural. Ourselves in line a little bit more fully with what's happening around us. hearing a little background noise. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So the season that is right before us now, we're on the cusp of the autumn equinox that will happen this coming week. And so in the Northern Hemisphere, that means that our whole side of the planet is beginning its tilt away from the sun, but right now we're perfectly poised to be in balance. So the equinox, the equal night, day and night of equal length. And so we really are, as natural mammals on this earth, kind of ready to sink into some of that balancing, grounding, equalizing, stabilizing energy ourselves. It's just out there to soak up. And so we'll play with that a little bit in our bodies with our breath this morning. And Lisa and I were talking before we all got started. You can do this on the ground. You can have a yoga mat if you've got a yoga mat, or you can spread out a blanket. You can also feel free to do everything that we're going to do this morning in a chair. And I've got a chair back here, so I'll sort of demo some chair options if you'd prefer to do that. See, it's nice if you've got a zafu, it's nice to have that around. That could be a nice prop. We will do a little bit of sitting if you're on the ground. If you've got some extra blankets around or something, that might feel supportive. I've got warm socks on this morning. Maybe you do too. It's that time of year. Any questions or anything you'd love for me to know about your own body before we get started? If you've got anything going on we should all be aware of, or requests, or just want me to handle it. That's usually the case. Okay, well, I'll just take it away from here. So if you're practicing on the ground and you would like to be on your back, that could be a nice way to start. I'm a big fan of either having a little cushion behind your head, or you could even, if you're on your back and have a blanket, you could put like a little mini roll in a blanket, something about like so. So that little mini roll, as you rest back, would snuggle right back in there in the natural curve of your neck, so that as you lie back, your head and neck won't even have to work to support you. Then, of course, if you're in a chair, you can simply be in a chair and rest back. And here's what that blanket would look like behind your neck, just that little mini roll. And you might rest back and have it nestle right in there. And then when you settle in, if you're on your back on the earth, you could stretch your legs out if that feels comfortable to your body, or you could simply bend your knees and put your feet on the ground. Sometimes the low back feels a little happier about starting like that. If you're bending your knees and have your feet on the ground, it could feel nice to let your knees fall toward each other. That way, again, just like we're relieving the neck of unnecessary effort, then your legs can release any muscular engagement as they just fall toward each other. You can have your eyes opened or closed, whatever feels natural and comfortable to you. Sometimes it's nice right here at the beginning for us to just gather our energy, gather our presence. You might consider exhaling all of your breath, allowing it to empty out. And then as you feel ready to inhale, maybe you just inhale through your nose and let it be kind of a slow wandering inhale that takes some time, stretching into your full body. And as you feel ready to exhale, you could open your mouth, let your exhale fall out like a sigh. Notice if your face might release a bit, the hinge of your jaw. Let's do that again a couple of times if you'd like. You could inhale, slow, easy inhale, and kind of stretch into your body. And as you open your mouth and sigh out your exhale, it could be that your shoulders drop and your chest relaxes. One more like that. As you inhale, it's that slow stretch of inhale. Maybe it finds some little nooks and crannies to ease into. And as you open your mouth and sigh out your exhale, your belly might gently soften, your hips ground, and the full length of your legs heavy and released. Simply allow your breath to be as it is. Nothing fancy that you have to do with it right now. Just let it rise and fall. Perhaps take in the parts of your body right here that are touching support. If you're on your back, that could begin with the back of your head. Maybe it seeps down into your shoulders. If you're sitting upright and there's a chair behind you, you might feel your upper back resting into support. Your hips. Your legs. Into your feet. And envision your body resting against, being held by the body of the earth. Just notice how the earth is in that perfect state of balance always. Here in relationship to the light. Let yourself, kind of a breathing microcosm of the earth, to absorb any amount of that equanimity, that state of balance. For a few rounds here, if you would like to follow along, we'll let our breath itself embody that state of balance. You can exhale your breath again. And then when you feel ready to inhale, just nice and gently to the count of 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you feel ready to exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Your inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Once more like that. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you can release that actual count, but maybe just feel your body continue that equalizing breath. We call it samavriti breathing in Sanskrit. Same fluctuation, that evenness of length of your breath. We'll begin to gently move along that. So if you're stretched out against the earth and your knees aren't bent, you might consider bending your knees and putting your feet on the ground. And let your body inhale here. And the next time you feel ready to exhale, that even exhale, maybe both of your knees could drip their way over to the right. You might even widen your feet a little bit as that happens. And then as you inhale, both of your knees come back through center. And as you exhale, knees can drift their way over to the left. And you can be doing this in a seat on the ground or in a chair also. You could just inhale with your knees coming through center and exhale, letting them drip one direction as much as they'd like. A nice even inhale, bringing you back through center. Exhale, knees dripping the other direction. Just let yourself kind of settle into a rhythm that feels all your own as you do that. again, maybe if your feet widen, you start to feel some of this balancing and also opening energy kind of seep down into your hips, which can get a little constricted in our sitting shapes in life. And it could be that as you drift side to side with your knees like this along that gently effortless, even cadence of your breath, that your head starts to naturally swivel, maybe opposite your knees. So this even side to side breathing movement starts to trickle its way up your whole spine into the limb of your neck. Maybe just let yourself kind of soak and sink into that another couple of times. There's no rush. The even quality of this pace can be all your own. And no hurry. The next time you naturally bring your knees back through center and pause there. Those of you on the ground, you may even feel like you want to scoop your knees up in toward your chest. Those of you sitting, you may just let your feet be steady. Maybe your legs come toward each other, just to let that be kind of a neutralizing shape in between, and your body might naturally gently rock a little bit side to side here, kind of massaging. If you're on the ground, massaging your low back against the earth. We'll do a little bit of kind of cross body movement in this practice so that we tap into both kind of hemispheres of the body, which in the subtle systems of yoga kind of connects with the two hemispheres of the brain. So if you're on your back, you could keep your right knee hugged in. See how it feels to you to stretch your left leg out. If you're sitting in a chair, you might just gently scoop your right knee up a little bit. You can see how that feels to you. And then let everything stretch long. So on the ground, both of your legs could stretch out. Maybe both of your arms stretch up alongside your ears. If you're in a chair, you just put that right foot down and maybe stretch your arms up. And then when you feel ready to exhale, scoop your left knee in. Maybe your arms kind of swirl around. You could even lift your forehead up to that knee if you're on your back, if that would feel like a nice little bit of traction in the back of your neck. And we'll go back to that even breathing and let the movement become even. So every inhale, things stretch long. And every exhale, scoop one knee in. Again, on the ground, you might even lift your forehead to that knee. If you're in a chair, you'd just be hugging the knee up as much as you'd like and lifting the arms or not as you'd like. Just letting yourself start to evenly pulse along your breath. Doesn't have to be at any pace. I'm giving you a little guide to go with, but you can adapt the pacing and the rhythm so that it fits how you are balancing your system right now. As it attunes to that balancing state of our whole planet right now. And maybe just side to side another couple of times. And then after you finish whatever side you're on, again on your back, you might hug both of your knees in. If you're sitting, you might just let your feet ground and let your palms rest. And coming back to this state of equilibrium in between each series of movements, so our bodies really get to absorb the movement we've offered and that grounding, balancing support system that's always the undercurrent of that movement. And one other bit here, while those of you who are on your backs are on your backs, I'll talk you through it first and then I'll come up and show a little modified chair version of this. It's a really nice bit of movement to do to engage the whole back of the body, especially some of the muscles that can be a big support to us as we're both sitting and as we're balancing our way through life. So if you're on your back, you can bend your knees again and put your feet on the ground. Maybe your feet are about as wide apart as your hips. We're going to move into a really gentle bridging flow. So your arms can rest by your sides. In fact, they can even kind of root their way into that balancing energy of the earth from your shoulders all the way down to your palms. And then let your heels really plug into the earth in response to that. Let your hips begin to float up. They can float up a little bit, they can float up a lot, just opening up that front compartment of your hips and feeling the backs of your legs, your bottom, even the muscles along your spine engage a tiny amount. And then lower your hips back down. And pause, kind of feel yourself ground again. And we'll start to move like that on that even breath. When you feel ready to inhale, plugging your feet into the earth, lifting your hips up. And as you feel ready to exhale, letting your hips float back down. Again, those of you in a chair, you might just put your hands on either side of the seat of your chair. If you scoot right forward to the seat of your chair, you could play with lifting up, pressing in, pressing your heels into the earth and lifting your hips a tiny amount, or maybe just energetically imagining and exhaling, lowering them back down. So maybe a few more rounds of that, kind of wherever you find yourself. Maybe in that chair, you're just plugging your feet into the earth and feeling your backside engage. Doesn't have to be a lift. Perhaps one more time through, whatever version of that is making sense to your body. And then a full-bodied exhale can help you rest your way back down. No hurry. And then wherever you are, whether you're on your back or you're in a chair, you might stretch your legs long. You might stretch your arms up alongside your ears and kind of swirl into your wrists and into your ankles. You could spread your toes and spread your fingers. You kind of get way down into the balancing tap roots of your whole body. You can swirl them around the other way a few times. And those of you on your backs, you can hug your knees in. Those of you sitting upright, you can just float your arms down. If you're on your back, you can make your way over to one side as you're ready. And then nice and easy, those of you on the floor, you can press your way up to a hands and knees shape when you feel ready. And we'll start to, whether you're going to come to hands and knees on the ground or whether you're sitting in a chair, we'll start to move along the entire continuum of the spine with a little bit of cow and cat movement and breath. So on the ground, that blanket could come in handy, just cushioning underneath your knees. Sitting in a chair, you can simply rest your hands on your thighs, and then as you feel ready, those of you on the ground, you can just feel that evenness of pressure of your hands into the earth and your knees into the earth. When you feel ready to inhale, you can just lengthen through your spine so much that it might arch eventually. Your sitting bones might lift up. And as you exhale, gently reverse that, kind of rounding through your low back and your middle back and your upper back. And of course, if you're sitting, it would just look like that movement through your spine, just moving through your spine. And see if you can just settle back into that even quality of your breath. Let that really be the focus. And then your whole physical body just gently follows along with that. And if you're on your hands and knees, moving through this, every time you inhale and lengthen through your spine, if you'd like to tuck your toes and kind of open up through the bottoms of your feet, that might feel nice and grounding. And then as you exhale, you could untuck your toes and stretch the tops of your feet. You could even rise up onto your fingertips and suction your palms away a little bit. So your inhales, You come back through, tuck your toes, open up through the bottoms of your feet. And as you exhale and round in, untuck your toes, maybe rise up onto your fingertips and suction your palms away a little bit. Play with that another time or so. And then when you feel ready, those of you on hands and knees, you can sink your way back to a child's pose. So you could bring your big toes together, stretch your hips back, let your arms lengthen up alongside your ears. If you're sitting in a chair and you have a surface in front of you, you could even just stretch into that surface with your hands on a table or a desk. If not, you can just lean forward a little bit and rest your forearms on your thighs. You could even let your head go a little bit wherever you find yourself. If you're on the earth and your head is touching the ground, you might even rock a little bit side to side along your forehead, massaging the front of your brain. If you're sitting up and you just have the pendulum of your head dropping, you might just let it sway a little bit side to side. And then from either version of this shape, just to begin to breathe into the two sideways halves of our body a little bit, you could consider climbing your arms up and over to the right. If you're sitting in a chair, you just might tiptoe your arms over to one thigh a little bit. If you're on the ground, you might physically walk your arms up and over to the right. And then as you do that, you may feel that left arm stretching a little bit farther, a little bit longer, and that left hip kind of grounding its way back. And you could imagine that next even inhale, stretching up your whole left side body. And your next even exhale, washing back down your whole left side body. You could give yourself another breath just like that, right there. Grounding into the hips and spreading into the side body and the back and softening the shoulders. You could bring yourself back through center when you feel ready, back through equilibrium, back through balance. And then up and over to the left with your arms if you'd like. As you do that, you might sense that right arm stretching a little bit farther than your left arm. And as you do that, that opposite hip might sink back a little bit. And you could take a whole big breath all the way up that whole right side of your body. And let the evenness of your exhale wash back down. Maybe one more breath like that. And releasing your exhale. And climbing your way back through center, back through equilibrium for yourself, back through balance. And then those of you on the ground, you could climb back up to your hands and your knees. I'll show you both a floor version and a seated version of opening up a little bit more through the bed of the foot, through the calf. Those are the muscles that really help us balance in life. So if you're on the ground, you can just stretch your right leg back with your toes tucked and that heel compressed back. You might even glide forward and back a little bit, just opening up that taproot of your body. If you're sitting in a chair, just stretch your right leg out, kind of press into the heel and peel your toes back. You could point and flex that foot just a little bit, either of those options. And after you feel like you've been able to breathe and kind of circulate and warm into that right foot, heel, calf bed, even perhaps up into the hamstring a little bit, you can switch. You can put the right knee down, stretch your left leg out. Again, in a chair, you would just stretch it forward. If you're on the ground, you can keep the ball of the foot connected. You might hinge forward and back a few times. And then when you feel nice and open on that side too, come back to equilibrium, come back to middle, and we'll do the floor version of this first. Stretch your right leg out again. So your right leg will just stretch out again. You can keep the ball of the foot connected, and then tiptoe your left fingertips forward. So those of you in a chair could stretch your right leg forward, and you might even float your left arm up alongside your ear. You can stay right here if you're on the ground, or you could consider floating one or both of those limbs up. So you come into a little bit of a tabletop balance here. If you're in a chair, you're just stretching your right leg out and maybe stretching your left arm up a little bit. So there you are in that tabletop version of a balance seated. And then put both of those limbs down and let yourself move into that slowly on the other side. So you can stretch your left leg out, keep the toes tucked to start with on the ground. You can stretch the left leg out in your chair, and maybe tiptoe your right fingertips forward if you're on the ground. If you're sitting in a chair, you could just stretch your right arm up alongside your ear. And then let everything come back to equilibrium. Catch your breath, catch your balance there. And let's just very gently and slowly move like that side to side. So as you inhale, one leg stretches and the opposite arm. Maybe if you're on the ground, both or one of those limbs lifts up, and exhale, everything comes back through center. And inhale, stretching it out again. Side to side. Like that. Again, letting yourself just settle back into that even quality of your breath, which is maybe the priority here. That movement of the limbs, stabilizing of the center of your body is what follows. What we know both from ancient yogic practices and from kind of modern movement science is that really our bodies know how to organize themselves into a state of equilibrium if we just kind of move slowly enough and calm the breath enough. The physical system will kind of take care of what needs to be taken care of. See if you'd like to pulse side to side, that cross body movement. Say one more time each side along the evenness of your breath, your whole body taking in and embodying balance. And when you feel equal and steady and ready to be still again, you can pause. You can just pause in a seat. Those of you on the ground, you could sink back into a child's pose again. Or of course, if there's some other shape that feels perfect to you, let yourself embody that. Just notice how your breath might naturally stabilize again. Notice how your system feels after that more dynamic play and balance. And then let's do one more little bit of movement and balance play from here. So those of you on the ground, you can draw yourself back up to your hands and your knees. And when you get there, see about stepping your right foot forward if you're on the ground. So you're just going to step forward into a lunge shape. And often to be balanced here, I find it's nice to walk your right foot over to the right a little bit. So your right heel and your left knee are more on railroad tracks, kind of a balanced foundation rather than on a tightrope. You can begin to get that settled. You could even climb up to that right thigh. Those of you sitting in a chair, if you'd like to just turn sideways to your right, then you've got your right foot in that lunge and you can kind of stretch your left leg back just a little bit. So you could just turn a tiny bit to the side so you're in that same kind of a lunge. You're just doing it from a little bit of a different body orientation. And so once you find yourself in that lunge shape, whatever variation of it works for you, maybe you've from the ground climbed your way up, and we're going to get really balanced here with that right heel kind of plugging into the earth, imagining that that left knee could draw its way forward a little bit. So it's almost like you feel your thighs scissoring toward each other. There's that sense of balance, that sense of support kind of rising right up from the earth. And then if you'd like, you could stretch your left arm up alongside your ear. And you might keep your right hand on your right thigh or on the chair. If you're sitting in a chair, your arm could be resting on the chair. Another option is to balance even a little bit more and take your right hand up to your left wrist and just give it the gentlest little tug, getting just a little bit taller in that space. You could stay right here if you want to play with the balancing energy a tiny bit more. You could tip up and over to your right, almost like you're tugging that left wrist up and drawing it over. So that right heel really helps you balance. That whole right hip gets a little bit stronger in terms of its balancing support. And you could move back and forth. You could inhale back up through center, and exhale, hinge your way, same direction, up and over. Try that maybe another couple of times, inhaling and exhaling and inhaling and exhaling. You could pause there with that side body stretch for a breath or so. And then inhale all the way back up through center. If you've been moving over to the side, those of you on hands and knees on the ground, you might want to bring your hands down and just straighten that front leg out a little bit. Sometimes that feels like, oh, just what you need. Those of you in a chair could do a little bit of the same, and you might just roll that right ankle around a little bit, kind of swirling it around in space. And you could swirl it the other direction. And then when you feel ready, from there, we'll step the front knee back to meet the back knee. Those of you on the ground, you can just swivel back to facing forward. Those of you in a chair, if you're on the ground, maybe bringing your knees and thighs together and kind of letting your hips, both hips, sway a little bit, cross that midline side to side. If you're sitting in a chair, you just might let your knees go side to side, or you yourself might sway a little bit, just kind of letting the body kind of move away from midline and back again, move out of that center balance and back again. It's kind of a soothing little pulse. And eventually that movement might get still and you could pause. You could pause seated. You could pause on hands and knees. You could stretch back to a child pose for another cycle of breath or so, and maybe just let yourself consciously dip back into that even length of an inhale and that even length of an exhale, just calling in balance with the cadence of your breath. Even inhale, even exhale. And then when you feel ready, we'll do that little lunge movement on the other side. So if you're in a chair, you just turn, let your left thigh kind of rest on the chair. Maybe your right leg walks back a little bit. If you're on your hands and your knees, you just step that left foot forward, walk it over to the left a little bit. You can make sure your right knee and your left heel kind of feel like they're on railroad tracks rather than on a tightrope. You can climb your way up to that front thigh, those of you on the ground, and then really let that balancing energy support you here. It's as if that left heel could plug into the earth, that left hip then sometimes hugs in to support you. It's almost like that right knee is hugging forward. So there's this drawing in toward the balance of your center. And you could stretch your right arm up alongside your right ear if you would like. Maybe that's where you stay. Maybe just one side of your body is going to have that elevation. Maybe your left arm reaches up, and if you're doing that, you could gently grab a hold of your right wrist. And then as you inhale, let that little gentle tug, not a yank, just a gentle tug on your right wrist, let you get a little bit taller. And as you exhale, maybe you hinge up and over to your left. So you're really asking your body to support you with some balance here. And then you could move back and forth, inhaling upright and exhaling that same little sideways bend up and over to your left. Maybe another couple of those, nice and slow, in the cadence of your breath. And then the next time You bring yourself all the way back through center. If you've been doing that hinge, you could bring your hands down. If you're on the ground, they can touch the earth. You might straighten that front leg. Those of you on hands and knees, you might swirl that left ankle around a little bit. If you're in a chair, again, you just kind of straighten as much as that leg wants to straighten, maybe swirl that ankle around. And then come back to that space of equilibrium. So either turning to face forward in the chair, stepping the front knee back if you're on hands and knees, maybe letting everything sway a little bit side to side. That's all nice and easy. Make our way to some version of a seat. You can be sitting in a chair. You can grab your meditation cushion again and sit in a way that's really familiar on the ground. You can prop up even higher if that would feel nice to you. I'd love for us to spend a little bit of time on the shoulders, the head, and the neck before we breathe our way into a little bit of final integration. So as you come into your seat, you can feel your shoulders drop away from your ears as much as they would like. Feel some evenness of length along the sides of your neck, even the back of your neck. And let that evenness begin to trickle down, kind of down the length of your spine into where you feel your hips and your sitting bones touching support. And if you'd like, you can float both of your arms forward. And as you do that, see if the heads of your shoulders can kind of settle right back into their sockets. So they're not stretching forward, but they kind of feel balanced and steady in their home base. And then cross your right arm over your left. You can cross way up there by your shoulder heads. And then there are lots of options here. You could hold on to opposite shoulders. Maybe you want to bring your forearms toward each other. Some of you might even wrap your forearms. None of those is better than the other, just different ways to work with your arms. Once you've gotten where you're going to be, see if you can soften things again, if you had to do any efforting to get there. And then when you feel ready to inhale, let both of your elbows tip their way up as if they're going to tip up toward your forehead. And then exhale, slow motion, lower them back down. Try that a few more times. As you inhale, let your elbows lift up. You might even feel your head pressing back, so you get a little massage. Exhale, elbows moving down right up through your shoulder blades and the back of your neck. A couple more like that. Inhaling and exhaling. One more time through, inhaling. Exhaling. And this time as you inhale, let your elbows tip their way back up as much as they'd like, so much that eventually your arms can just unwrap and they can stretch all the way up toward the sky. Another one of those open mouth sighs of an exhale, bend your elbows, feel your shoulder blades slip down your back, feel the back of your neck, get some space, pause there. Maybe your forearms even move out of your peripheral vision a little bit so you feel that sense of broadness and opening across your chest. And then see how it might work for you to stack your hands back behind your head. One hand is behind your head, the other hand behind the first hand. You could wing your elbows open a little bit and really press your head into your hands. Let your hands resist gently back into your head. You may feel some engagement that offers some release in the back of your neck here. You can see if that's true for you. And then about 3 times, let's twist to the right here. You can inhale, get a little bit longer. Maybe you gently even give a tiny tug to the base of your skull. And as you exhale, keep your elbows wide, slow twist to your right. And you can inhale, come back through center. You're still pressing your head into your hands Hands into your head, exhale, slow twist, same direction to your right, winging your elbows wide. One more time, inhaling. In slow motion, exhaling. And you can inhale, come all the way back through center. Let your arms open wide, maybe even swirl your wrists a little bit, one direction and then the other. And then exhale, let your arms rest down. Maybe your palms face up and the backs of your hands rest on your thighs. Take that in. Before we do that on the other side, you might feel like you want to lean back if you're sitting with your legs crossed and stretch your legs out. Give them a little swirl or a little bounce and then recross them perhaps the other way. Just cross them the opposite way. So you even bring that little nuance of balance into your body, into your system. Settle in again. Let your arms drift forward, and as they do that, settle the heads of your shoulders right back into their sockets. Let the sides of your neck be long. And then cross your left arm over your right, or just do the opposite of whatever you did the first time. Maybe right up by your shoulder heads. Same options here. It could be real different on this side. You could hold on to arms or shoulders. You could bring the backs of your forearms together. Could wrap your forearms. So kind of see what feels natural, feels like it's going to be just the nourishment that your body needs here. And then when you feel ready to inhale, you could float your elbows up. And when you feel ready to exhale, let them drift their way back down. You might even feel the back of your head pressing into, if you could imagine it, pressing into the wall behind you, so that as you move through this a few more times, that rise and fall of elbows on breath, it becomes like a little bit of a nourishing massage right in through the shoulder blades, right up into the back of your neck, all the way to the base of your skull. One more time through. And then the next time you inhale and lift your elbows up, no rush, this is you make your way there. Let yourself inhale so much and stretch your arms up so much that eventually they just unwrap and stretch right up alongside your ears. Another open mouth sigh, let your elbows bend, feel your shoulder blades slip down your back, feel your chest broaden. And stack your hands again, maybe the other hand is first, right behind your head, your elbows gently wing open. Press your head softly into your hands. Let your hands gently resist back towards your head. So you feel that engagement. Backs of our neck sometimes crave that as they crane forward in life so much. We'll twist 3 times the other direction here. When you inhale, let your spine get a little bit taller to the left. As you exhale, head into your hands, hands into your head, elbows winging. Inhale back through center. Exhale, slow motion twist. And let that happen one more time. Inhaling. Like you're wringing out along the entire central equilibrium of your body. And then when you feel ready to inhale and come back through center, you can open your arms wide and swirl through your wrists again, one direction and the other. And then let your arms rest down. Let your shoulders drop. Maybe your chin even drops toward your chest. And you could take one ear over toward its shoulder, maybe even tip your chin up toward the sky a little bit. And drop your chin back to your chest, other ear toward its shoulder. You could tip your chin up. You might even rock your jaw a little bit. Chin all the way back to your chest when you're ready, this little bowed in shape. And then when you feel ready to inhale again and your face wants to float up, see if you might scoop your shoulders way up to your earlobes. Give them a little extra squeeze there. Big full-bodied sigh, roll Wiggle your shoulders around and back and down. Twice more like that, scooping your shoulders up. Sighing them around and back and down. Once more like that, inhaling. Gentle sigh, gentle release all the way back and down. I'd love to invite you to move into a shape that will allow you to be even and balanced and have a little bit of time to absorb all of this. So you could come back onto your back. If you're going to do that, I recommend the same or some kind of support right behind your neck and or your head. You may even, those of you coming onto your back, could take your meditation cushion and snuggle it right under the hollows of your knees, so you have a little support for your legs as you make your way back. And of course, those of you choosing to be upright, whether in a chair or on a cushion, can maybe let yourself kind of soften into that shape a little more. There's no hurry to get yourself settled. Once you find yourself kind of nestling in, go back to that quality of feeling that ever-present balance of the earth itself holding you here. You just resting into it, almost as if it could conform to support your body here. We'll finish with a little bit of just kind of imaginary or self-guided alternate nostril breathing, but we won't use our hands on our nose, which you may be familiar with that practice. We're just going to let our awareness guide our breath. So if you'd like to follow along, you can exhale everything. And then imagine that your next inhale, just imagine that it could seep in through only your left nostril. Let it just fill your body, seeping in through your whole left side maybe. And then as you exhale, just with your imagination and awareness, let your exhale happen through your right nostril. It might feel as if it releases your whole right side. And when you feel ready to inhale through the right this time, through your right nostril, you might feel your whole right side awaken. And as you exhale through your left nostril, you might feel your whole left side release. Inhaling through your left side body awakening. Exhaling through your right side body softening. Inhaling right. Exhaling left. Do it one more time through, nice and easy. Let it be effortless. Inhaling gently and naturally left. Exhaling soft and easy right. Inhale just your awareness, whole right side body. Exhale, softening, release, left side. And then allow your breathing to feel even through both nostrils, evenly nourishing both sides of your body. And then for a few quiet minutes here, you can allow even that awareness of your breath to recede, sinking into that balancing, steadying, stabilizing support of the earth holding you. That natural pulse of your breath without your having to do a thing, nourishing you. You abiding in this perfect state of equilibrium. Notice the quality and sensation of your body being supported here. Notice the effortless rise and fall of your breath. Allow yourself to begin to awaken and respond. You might feel some tiny movements naturally emerging. If you're on your back, you may scoop your knees back in. Wherever you are, you might let your body just very gently and naturally sway a little bit, side to side, through midline, and naturally arriving back in balance each time it sways. And those of you on your backs, you may roll over to one side and make your way to an upright seat if you'd like to finish there. And if it would feel balancing to you, you might even cup your hands together right in front of the center of your body, inviting both halves and all parts of you into this state of equanimity that we've had a chance to explore. Feeling yourself, a little microcosm of the greater, poised here in this place of balance, in this early tip toward inward and quiet. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. for doing this. This is always so wonderful. Balance is, you nailed it. That's just what I've been thinking about. Like,
Oh, you're right in line, right in tune.
you're right in tune or something. So thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
don't know what time it is. 'Cause
It's 11.
I think, is that when we were supposed to finish? Was I supposed to finish earlier? Okay.
no, that's right. So, if anybody wants to stay for the sitting, any of the sittings, the schedule is on the website, right?
It is. It is, and I can put it in the chat. We usually take a break, so if anyone needs to take a break, would come back at about 10 after, and then sit until 11:50, and then we have a break and for lunch, and we resume at 1. So I can put that into the chat.
And we'll give back the merit. All in response. May the merit of this practice
May the merit of this practice
benefit all beings
benefit all beings
and bring peace.
and bring peace.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Paige, Kanko.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Teijo, for inviting me. Thanks everyone for creating this together. See you at the winter solstice.
Thank you.
So, Lisa, are you staying with us to sit?
I've never done it before. So I was wondering, yeah, so do I just stay on this link?
Yeah, it's on this link, and you can sit in a chair, and that's fine. And Kalyan, I think, will looks like is joining us. So we would usually take a short break if we need it, and so the sitting will resume at or start at 10 after, and then end at 11:50, and then there are 2 periods of I'll put this into the chat so you have it. There are 2 periods of zazen in the afternoon. I'll just put this for you and Kalyan, so I'll put it to everybody. This will be the schedule.
I think I got the email.
Oh, you did?
The
Okay.
email.
Okay. So I'll put this for Kalyan, then he'll have it, and then we'll start at 10 after 11,
Okay.
and then I'll ring the bell at 11:50.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, the second that I rang the bell, a car alarm went off on the street. I was a little late on ringing the bell. I'm sorry about that. We will resume as I was in this afternoon at 1 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you, Ren.
Thank you. Thank you, Scallion. See you, Lisa. Bye-bye.